I've just been doing some, cleaning. I've been organizing things during this whole social isolation thing. You know, what I usually call Fun Day Friday night and a usual weekend. As I was organizing, I found this old stack of PC games I used to play as a kid. I was curious if they worked or not, and curiosity got the best of me, and now this video exists. I'm just gonna be looking through all these games, seeing if they work, and going over some nice childhood memories. It's gonna be nice and relaxing time. The first game that caught my eye was this one, Roller Coaster Factory 2. I'm back home. Roller Coaster Tycoon 2. What a game! What an amazing damn game. I've spent more time on this than I did homework, building roller coasters, an elaborate park, naming everything, dropping janitors into lakes, killing park goers on death rides, you know, same old, same old. It's all so wonderful. One thing that I've come to appreciate is the art direction of the game. The isometric view just shows the grand scale of the parks that you create, and having a limited view and movement with the camera makes sure that attraction placement and store placement is always in the back of the player's head. That pre-rendered look will always have a certain charm to it. It's like looking at Donkey Kong's succulent, silicon graphics computer rendered ass. Oh yeah, that's the stuff. Overall though, this is just Roller Coaster Tycoon. A fun management game which lets you live out the dream of creating your own dream park with a charm that's so endearing that you just have to love it. Especially since this game was almost made entirely by one guy, especially before the advent of, indie studios and one-man development teams. It's just quite a marvel of its time. It's definitely good though. Speaking of tycoons, next up we got Mall Tycoon, surprisingly published by Take-Two Interactive.
They're the company that distributes the Rockstar games, like Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption.
Oh man, I'm really loving the use of Comic Sans in this. This is fucking amazing. This game is mostly confusing. The menus are really chunky, placing stuff is clunky, and overall it just feels plain gunky. Only a funky monkey could get any enjoyment out of this lumpy dung heap. God, all this rhyming is making me feel grumpy. On to the next game before I turn into some sort of a junkie. Okay, I'm gonna fucking stop right here. Alright, what's next? Oh shoot, it's Jonah. Does anybody actually remember this movie? Seriously, there was a theatrically released VeggieTales movie that released in 940 theaters. It was about the biblical story of the prophet Jonah, who was to warn the people of Nineveh by delivering a message from God. He gets eaten by a whale or something. There are pirates, Veggie's got in a car crash, yeah, I don't really remember too much about this movie. Who knows, maybe I'll talk about it in depth at a later date. And I can finally give Phil Vischer what he deserves. Alright, moving along, let's install the game. Oh no. That's fine. Okay, moving along, we got Shrek 2 Activity Center. Installing this game brought me back to the good old days of game installations. Installing games now with something like Steam usually gives you a progress bar and just that. Most people going to do something else while the game installs. Installers back then had music playing, pictures showcasing the game, and that nostalgic full-screen wizard background. Oh yeah, look at that gradient. That's nice. It used to be fun and a little bit exciting to install games, but as times change, these small details are going to be left in the past with faster internet and faster ways to install games. Shrek 2 Activity Center is a Shrek 2 themed minigame collection. Who'da thunk it? You got Muffin Masterpiece, where you have to catch ingredients in a bowl, Juice at the Beach, which is a Simon Says game where you have to drag the called ingredients to a blender, Hide and Seek, which is just Simon Says again, Dinner with the King, which is okay, yeah, that's just Simon Says again, Careening Carriage, which is the gamiest of the games, where you have to avoid obstacles and get to the end of the course, Catch Puss in Boots, yeah, okay, that's Whack-A-Mole. And finally, there's Fairy Godmother's Lab, which is Fix the Shrek. I got bored after a little bit, so I decided to submit this game to speedrun.com and become the first untied world record for Dinner with the King.
Let's go!
Now that's an achievement I can put up on the wall with a nice printed out picture. Shrek out of 10. Next up, we got Dogs. Dogs with a Z. Z-Dogs. Dog Z. Z. Dogs and the subsequent Pets franchise was quite a big deal back in the late 90s. A casual pet simulation game with a unique art style with most of the animals being built up from various sizes of circles. It's quite a unique way to create the illusion of 3D, and it's fairly well done. Ubisoft eventually picked up the license for the Pets franchise and made more games using the Pets names, like the old classic Pets Crazy Monkeys. Basically, you just play with the dog, feed him, clean him, all that good stuff. You can change the maps using this drop-down menu to go to different areas that all have specific functions, you know, kitchen for feeding, bathroom for cleaning, yada yada yada, so on and so forth. There's also some mini games on these different maps, like this haunted house one, and oh no. Please, I want to get off Mr. Bones' wild ride. I can see why people would love this type of game. Personally, I feel pet simulation games work better on portable devices, but overall, Dogs is quite a fun way to spend some time messing around on your computer. That's all the jewel case stuff. Let's move over to the CD organizer next. SpongeBob games on console were usually allocated to the platformer genre, and to great success. The SpongeBob movie game and Battle for Bikini Bottom, both developed by Heavy Iron Studios, were great additions to the collectathon platformer and masterpieces in terms of licensed video games. But to be fair, there's not much competition in that scene. The SpongeBob games on PC, though, were much different. Creature from the Krusty Krab, or Nighty Nightmare as the title screen says, is a top-down minigame collection. Taking place in the dreams of SpongeBob, Patrick, and Plankton, SpongeBob goes through Forza and Metal Gear Solid, Patrick has the Avengers game, the next Toho, and Luigi's Mansion, and Plankton gets to go through Rampage and Pikmin. All of the games, though, use the same systems, usually revolving around clicking on enemies, moving to points, or destroying a certain amount of things. Things in this game are just too slow in general. Take one of SpongeBob's stages, for example. You have him in a car, yet he moves slower than holding the Shift key in CS. On top of that, usually you can press the right mouse button to go into a sort of sneaking mode, which lets you see the area of attention that enemies have, but it also moves you even slower. Why they don't have these pink rings on enemies all the time is beyond me. Also, this game in general just looks incredibly creepy. I mean, look at this damn Patrick. Or this Patrick. Or this unusually phallic-looking cone. Or these wheels! Even the main menu icons just look off. It feels like I'm playing some sort of a weird creepypasta game. Like I'm expecting some hyper-realistic blood and an overly wide creepy smile to show up, followed by a jump scare or something.
Boogity boogity! I'll scare your dad.
Let's move on to a game I'm more familiar with, the SpongeBob movie game. This game takes the more familiar style of a point-and-click adventure game. You look around, observe things, solve puzzles, all that good stuff. The graphics are decent, the SpongeBob humor's there, although they rip lines straight from the movie, and the puzzles aren't too hard to figure out, with NPCs often telling you the solution just as long as you can go out of your way and find them. There is the occasional point-and-click classic of, "What do I do? Where do I go? Oh, I guess I gotta try everything on everything, climb to click on everything, ah!" But it's not too bad here. Granted, for point-and-click games, I have fonder memories of the old humongous titles like Freddy Fish, Spy Fox, and Pajama Sam. Those games are masterfully done with such great art and enjoyable writing, along with puzzles that can be challengingly enjoyable.
What do you mean you find those baby bitch games hard? What are you, some sort of Joe Biden brain drain having ass?
Shut the hell up!
Humongous games are classic, but I still have fond memories of this game, and it's not that bad, actually pretty good for kids game standards. Last SpongeBob game we got here is Operation Krabby Patty. This is probably the most well-known out of the SpongeBob PC games, as it was one of the first SpongeBob games to come out, and it was exclusive to PC. I've also seen my fair share of YouTube poops using the cutscenes, so I mean there's that too. Let's pop this in and give it a go. Oh. Oh no, well, that's fine as well. Alright, so last we got, let's just skip past that. Candyland. As you all should know, I'm a board game master. Nice, yes. This'll be no problem for me. Let's finish these games up. Oh. Oh. Oh no. Well, that's also fine.
Die, foul being.
The ghosts of my past have finally caught up with me. The skeletons in the closet are coming out to roost. They were bound to find me someday. Maybe this is for the best. Confronting the past instead of letting it eat away inside of you. Festering. Never being able to let go. I accept this.
Man, it sucks out here. I should be playing video games.